Hi, my name is John Joseph, and this is the 6th video tutorial in my series on my procedural text generation tool, ProcGenie. In this video, we'll talk about setting and checking state in ProcGenie using reference objects. What is a reference object? It's basically just an object that holds tags and variables. ProcGenie tracks all state on reference objects, and by default, all state is tracked on a reference object named default. Additional reference objects, however, can be defined or set with the syntax in this cell. Refs, R-E-F-S, followed by parentheses and the name of the reference object. So in this cell, we set a reference object named John that creates an object, and then any changes that you make to the state, to the world state, will change the reference object John. So if you add a tag, so we could add a tag for old, and we're introducing some new syntax here. We have a plus sign, parentheses, and the name of the tag. So if you have a plus sign, a parentheses, and the name of the tag, that adds a tag to whatever reference object is set. So here we start with a start symbol. We can move east, so we go to refs John, which creates the reference object John. And then you move over one more with the production rule east, and you add a tag old. So when the walker first encounters a reference object, it creates that new empty object with whatever the prescribed name is. Then if the walker later encounters, or the generator, remember we're using walker interchangeably with generator here, if the walker later encounters a reference object with the same name, it sets a reference to the existing object. So you could have refs Charlie, and you could set Charlie's tag, one of Charlie's tags, to young. And then you could allow the symbol to go west. The production rule here allows you to go west. And you could set the reference object back to John. What happens here? You have a start symbol, you move to John. John is set as the reference object. You set a tag old on the reference object John. You move on and you set a new reference object, which clears all the existing reference objects and makes the reference object to Charlie. You add a tag to Charlie, young, and then you can set the reference object back to John. So John here refers back to the reference object that was originally set, John. You can also set multiple reference objects at once. Let's take a look at how we would do that. Refs, and then you add all of the reference objects you would like to set. Charlie, Bob, Sally, and Iris. And here I've set 5 reference objects at once. Then, if I add any tags to the reference object, I could make them all firefighters. Now the reference object John, Charlie, Bob, Sally, and Iris all have a tag firefighters. So that's how we set reference objects. Again, a reference object is just an object where you store variables and you store tags. They can be set, they can be added to, subtracted from, and they can be checked against, so they can be used as constraints.